Guys, welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast. Today we have Joan Mbesya with us. She is founder CEO at Tech Mindset Africa. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of topics, including AI, Agtech, and growth in Africa. What part of Africa is growing the most right now? Joan, welcome to the pod. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and about your company?
Thank you so much, Charles. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me. A very good evening. I don't know what time it is there, but again, it's a pleasure. My name is Joan Mbesya, and I'm the CEO of Tech Mindset Africa. This is an institution that educates Africa in artificial intelligence. It basically makes artificial intelligence information accessible for Africa, especially and very focused in Africa-related challenges. So we try and educate Africa in a way that they would find the information useful to make decisions that are going to solve Africa-based challenges. All said and done, interestingly, I have a background in finance. I have a financial degree, and I also have a master's in strategic management, and I also have a master's in marketing management, and again, a master's in finance again. But this time I was more focused in statistics. So I started reading and understanding artificial intelligence. I'm a self-taught student in artificial intelligence, and I've learned AI for businesses from, like the School of Wharton, that is Pennsylvania University. I've also learned Python, basic Python, just to understand the statistics that are involved in AI. So I've done that at Michigan University. I've also done AI and decision making in Duke University, and I'm currently doing deep learning for businesses in Yosemite University. And I believe this is what has brought me to understand how do we apply artificial intelligence as the future solution, as the solution right now when we are making decisions in our various economies. Thank you, Charles.
Right. And why is it so important for you to educate yourself in terms of AI? And why is it your mission to help Africa kind of educate itself when it comes to AI?
Thank you, Charles, for that information. So I have a background where I've come from a family of farmers, especially my grandparents, and I saw them toil, left, right, and center to put food on the table. And I always thought to myself, is there a way, is there a solution to do this? And this is just a small part of it. For example, right now, as we speak, we are manually doing, farming, etc. And food production is becoming low. In fact, it is estimated that in the next 20 years, and that is not very far, we're going to have food shortage globally. And the question is, what is Africa known for? It's known for food production. So if we are not able to meet that gap today, how are we going to meet it in 20 years? And so when I started reading about artificial intelligence, I realized this is where the solution is. So I started looking for courses, information that would teach artificial intelligence, not from a technical perspective, but as an application perspective. So I went online and looked for this information, and that is how I started studying. I started understanding, for example, how data is related to artificial intelligence, how you can get information, how you can apply artificial intelligence in not only agriculture, but in various industries. And here we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about finance, and more so, we're talking about education, which is the business that I'm in right now. So if I can use my knowledge, and if I can use my, the opportunity that I have had to understand artificial intelligence from my perspective, and this is a non-technical perspective, by the way. I do not know programming. I do not have a coding background, but I understand how AI can be leveraged to create solutions, even in the technical industries. So that is how I came to understand and learn, and it has been progressive, and there's so many opportunities, especially from where I am. If we can understand, artificial intelligence from an African perspective, I believe we can relate globally with any continent from an AI perspective and give tremendous solution, more so in food production in future.
Right. For Agtech, that would mean machine vision and looking at these images, where to put the water, also analyzing weather patterns, ground mineral composition and so forth. Do you have key examples of how Africa could leverage AI to better its agricultural production?
Absolutely, Charles. And I look at it from the perspective of challenges right now. And this is happening in Kenya. And I believe it's a similar challenge to the whole of Africa. The first challenge is food production is minimal and the labor is intensive because we're doing things manually right now. So food production is slow. We're not able to scale. And even if we produce, then that brings the second problem, weeding. There are a lot of weeds, and the way we're removing weeds right now, again, is manually. So if we have, for example, 10 acres and you employ even 50 farmers to do that, these 50 farmers could each have farm, and maximize production, but instead they're focused on a 10-acre piece of land, removing weeds, right? That's another problem. And also, weeding, the emergence of weeds eat into the production, into the quality of a crop. And then another thing that now, brings this to the table, brings it home is food wastage, right? We're having a lot of food, but also there's a lot of food. So you see, all these are contributing to the challenges of food shortage, which is becoming more prevalent as years go by. So the question is, what are the solutions that artificial intelligence can use to do this? And one of them, and allow me not to explain, to get deeper into it, otherwise we'll start getting technical. There are solutions like using machine learning, a subfield called deep learning. And I'll give an example of a company that uses lettuce bot. Now, and the reason I'm giving this one example is because if we get to understand this example, then it can be scaled to, tremendous amounts of crops that are planted anywhere in Africa. So lettuce bot does this. One, it does seeding. It's able to plant seeds on scale. A job that can be done in a week can be done in 10 minutes, right? In a large piece of land, like 10 acres, for example, right? And another solution is the same lettuce bot is able to weed. It uses a chemical that kills the weed in the process when it's managing the crops. It's managing lettuce. So the lettuce become bigger because then the weeds are managed at very early stages. And lastly, also the same bot is able to identify crops that might go bad or might get diseases and, be destroyed at the moment. So these are the opportunities. How about if we're able to use that in kales? How about if we're able to use that in spinach? How about if we're able to use that in beans, in maize, in corn, etc.? So the solutions are there. Deep learning technologies, which is a subfield of machine learning, and machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. We are able, for example, to create bots, agri-bots that are able to, number one, help farmers weed. Other than that, also complement farmers, for example, to spread fertilizer, avoid fertilizer shortage or avoid water shortage in the farm by precisely targeting, crops in ways that it avoids just putting, generally instead of at specific places. So what is this going to do? So let's talk about coffee farming, because I know that is very familiar, especially in Africa. So coffee farming has people, plucking it from the field, etc. If we had mobility boats being a complement, not necessarily replacing, complementing and doing what they can do in 10 hours and do it in 10 minutes, why not have the people concentrate in packaging, concentrate, in marketing these products, or concentrate in feeding their families, right? So if we are able to use these technologies of deep learning or machine learning technologies, we are able to scale production. Work that can be done in 1 week can be done in 10 minutes. Weeds that can destroy 50% of crops can be reduced to at least a minimum of even 5%. That is negligible. So at the end of the day, then we reduce, food shortage. So in 20 years, if we are able to progressively, and of course, we have to work with people, we have to work with our governments, and we have to work with influencers. If we are able to work with small farmers, we don't want small farmers, for example, to use the harder technologies to do that. Offer AI services, as a service per acre. So as a small scale farmer, I don't have to understand the technology behind, for example, weeding, weeds that affect carrots. I just have to pay an intelligent company to come and do that for me per acre and charge me what, $1, per acre. And that becomes affordable, and you're able to scale that and mass produce that. If we have, for example, hundreds of acres being done that in a given day, you can imagine the kind of production that we can have in food in a very short period of time. And then we become a strength, in this exportation. Then we're able to feed the world globally. And I believe that's a strong point for Africa to stand right now as a result of artificial intelligence. And that is why I'm very passionate in learning how these opportunities can be leveraged.
In less than 2 minutes, what
Right.
challenges are faced by Africa in terms of education? What's missing for AI for Africa to quickly learn AI and make these leaps and bounds?
Absolutely. And I think I mentioned this, Charles, earlier, is that lack of access to knowledge. Let's talk about ChatGPT right now. ChatGPT is in the mainstream. Everyone is understanding and getting to experience it. But the question is, how do you get that information on knowing how to prompt ChatGPT, right? Like prompt engineering, I get that is the current trend right now. If we can have an educated mass and not have artificial intelligence, manifested in a technical way, like, for example, data science or machine learning engineers, they're going to be experts in that. But if we are able to, and that is what as Tech Mindset we do, if we are able to make this information accessible in a most basic way, make data accessible in a way that, Charles, you and I can access data. I want to know about, the farming opportunities in, for example, Nairobi part of Kenya, right? I'm just able to type in Nairobi, what are the farming opportunities? Then it will give me poultry farming, vegetable farming, etc. And these are the markets. Instead of us having to go through a data analysis school and learn the intricate details of how to capture data, if we can make all this information accessible, understandable, and pragmatic, I believe, Charles, through education, we are able to reach the whole of Africa, and we are able to impact hundreds and millions of people only in Africa, leave alone the world. If we do this, the world, we're going to change the world, Charles.
Good advice. Where can people find out more about you, Joan?
They can find me on they can visit our website, that is www.techmindsetafrica-ai.africa. That is just one of it. But if you want to email me, that is joan@techmindset-ai.africa, or you can find me on social media links. That is Facebook. That is Tech Mindset Africa, Twitter, Tech Mindset Afri, LinkedIn, Tech Mindset Africa, and also Instagram, Tech Mindset Africa.